Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now Red Skull's buff details are out, kind of. Kabam hasn't actually posted them anywhere, but they did lift the embargo from CCP, so you can find already the gameplay and stuff like that on YouTube, which is exactly where these screenshots are coming from, effectively from the CCP videos. I believe mainly it's from MSD and Nick's videos. So shout out to those guys, but let's take a look at the Red Skull buff and see what we think. So while charging so we're gonna start with his SIG ability, and his SIG ability I think has one important addition, which is for every 10th basic hit, Red Skull will gain an armor up, which is going to help him, keep and gain more armor ups. And now you will likely actually be able to, take a blocked hit for a change now and then, and still keep building those armor ups. Previously, we can see that landing a heavy attack when the opponent dashed in shocks the opponent. I don't think that anybody really did this because, you weren't trying to intercept, so this was kind of useless ability. And the other ability remains the same, as in charge your heavy attack and you will gain power. And now Red Skull is immune to nullify, fate seal, and stagger effects. So this is becoming more and more popular thing. So that's obviously clearly primarily against the Mystic champions, because Red Skull is the type of champion that, opponents can have a field day with. But this, in case of a Red Skull, will make it kind of like a unique hurdle to overcome, because his armors are going to give him like an enormous crit resistance and everything else. And if you can't nullify them, well, you basically just need to armor break them, or you're never going to get rid of them. So he actually might be a real pestilence on defense after this change, or at the very least significantly more so. Also against mutants, Red Skull's ability accuracy cannot be modified, so he will be a domino counter. Start each fight with 5 indefinite armor ups, increasing armor rating by 244. When either champion fills a bar of power, gain 1 armor buff. I think that is a change as well from when filling a bar of power. Now it says when either champion fills a bar of power, so this is also like double the speed. So effectively he got what he needed the most, in the sense that he gets many more armor ups now, because you get not only when you fill a bar of power, also when opponent fills a bar of power, and on every 10 hits on your combo meter, which should work out for your parries perfectly fine. Also now, overwhelming presence. For each armor buff, Red Skull gains more attack, critical resistance, energy resistance, and opponent's stun ability accuracy. So at 10 armor ups, you will have minus 100% opponent's stun ability. It's kind of interesting too. He sounds more and more annoying. He really, really does. Blocking a basic attack still consumes 1 personal armor buff to power drain 10% of the opponent's max power, and deal damage for each armor buff on the Red Skull. So it's still decent damage. Heavy attacks inflict non-stacking heal block for 12 seconds. This heal block used to only activate if opponents were stunned, and it was 7.5 seconds. So there's an improvement there for sure. I think the damage on the power drains is the same. Now the special 1 text, I think special 1 and special 2 both have some changes now. On activation, gain an auto block passive, granting a 100% chance to auto block basic attacks for 3 seconds. Duration is paused until the special attack ends. Is consumed when triggered. Auto block will not trigger while Red Skull is unstoppable. And this is going to make Red Skull kind of more like Mysterio. You can't really punish his special attacks either now, because you notice that they mention Unstoppable there. Unstoppable is on his level 2. So now, if Red Skull activates level 1, you're going to need to wait for 3 seconds, and you can't go in and punish it. If he activates level 2, he's going to be unstoppable, and you're going to have to wait. The first hit pauses all shock debuffs on opponent for 6 seconds. This is actually a super important point that we can see here, which is going to be how he kind of maintains his damage and goes for the finish in the fight. And each hit deals additional burst damage as an additional burst of energy damage if opponent is suffering from shock debuff. So that also kind of lets us know what is going to be his base rotation. Now here, the quality is not the greatest, but just listen to my words. On activation, with level 2, gain an unstoppable buff for 2 seconds plus half a second per armor up. So it can be a 7-second long unstoppable, which is a relatively decent duration. And again, if you do not have a way to remove his armor ups, he will have those 10 armor ups every time he throws a special attack. Duration is paused until the special attack ends and is consumed when struck. So that's kind of interesting. I do not know how it will work exactly in the fight. When your unstoppable gets struck, can you counterpunch still? I hope not, because, otherwise it's going to be really, really annoying. Each hit inflicts a shock debuff, dealing energy damage over 6 seconds plus 1 second per armor buff, so this will realistically likely end up being like a 16-second shock. Special 3 nobody's really going to use, but drain 100% of opponent's power. For every 10% of max power drained, gain an armor buff. So it's kind of like, full-on power drain, just doubtfully you're going to end up using it a lot. But here we are. So his rotation pretty much seems to be drop a level 2, inflict those shocks, and then immediately try to get level 1 and activate it, and then just keep spamming level 1s as fast as you can in order to keep them paused. And we do have some gameplay with that as well. I believe that this is MSD's gameplay for sure. I believe it was which rank Red Skull? I forgot. Was it rank 5 or was it rank 4? But we're going to see the rotation here nonetheless. So, again, you do want to build up to... One second. A bit cut off here at the bottom, but you do want to build up to nearly 3 bars of power. And once that is done, basically at 2.9 bars of power, you want to drop your level 2. And once you do, you're going to inflict your shocks. And you're going to go unstoppable. You can use that unstoppable to counterpunch, kind of like with Killmonger. Here we go. And then use your level 1 to pause it. And those shocks are putting in a relatively solid damage in the background there. You also deal a bit of extra damage with, letting your opponent hit the block, plus power draining them, thus enabling yourself to be more aggressive. Will probably save you a special that you need to pay out. And then you just go in and pause them. And for most part, that is how you will finish off your fights, right? Pretty much anywhere in, battlegrounds or lines where it's going to be kind of like level 2, level 1, level 1. Now, realistically, I don't think that's kind of like an awful rotation. I think his damage is decent. It definitely doesn't seem like it's awful. And overall, as a champion, I must say I am quite interested. I like the relatively easy access to power drain, tons of armor ups. Obviously, the shock has heal block. There can also be some filthy stuff done with his heavy charging and power gaining if he's at a high sig, but I think most important thing is just to have Red Skull Awakened. And definitely the full-on Nullify Fate Seal immunity is also quite important, because that will allow you to bypass quite a few nodes and abilities. We all know how important the Nullify Fate Seal immunity is to Omega Sentinel, which is one of major reason why she's quite effective in Alliance Wars. Overall, though, I think he's going to be solid, kind of like up above average tech champion. Obviously, it's impossible to make any kind of like full judgments. This isn't the official buff. There will be subject to change. But given how much of old Red Skull's kit remained, and that this is a relatively modest rework, I kind of like it. I like the thought of you kind of like dropping your level 2 and then just trying to be as aggressive as you can, utilizing that power drain in your block. Again, I like the immunities that they gave him, like that, longer heal block can be super kind of compatible with a lot of tech stuff. And his only like big weakness now is like an armor break. And it will be interesting to see whether he will do well. Once he actually does get his buff live, I will definitely put him through my matchup spreadsheet. By the way, guys, I have been working on that one. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have been working on the matchup spreadsheet as well. I'm probably going to do this again in one of my next streams, where we're going to go over some more champions and their potential matchups, and then I'll obviously did kind of like my summary sheets. And then there is more calculating stuff and things like that. It's going to be something interesting for sure, promise. But I'll definitely keep working on it and get more champions added. And obviously, when Red Skull's buff goes live, I'll be very curious to put him through this sheet as well to see how many of the top kind of like more significant matchups and fights he can take. That said, let me know what do you guys think about Red Skull's buff. I think so far, after the first read, it's relatively solid job. Not gonna say that I'm like mega hyped for it, but I'm, cautiously optimistic. I think he's gonna be at the very least, decent, usable champion. What do you guys think? And I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about